Although Taiwan has a landmass the size of Ohio and the population of Texas, it boasts the third highest military reserves in the world. And that's not even all, because there's so much that you don't really know about Taiwan. But today, you'll find out. So let's go. Chapter 1. Geography of Taiwan. Taiwan is an island in the western Pacific Ocean, situated approximately 100 miles off the southeastern coast of China. The capital, Taipei, located in the north, serves as the seat of government for the Republic of China, or ROC. However, besides the main island, the ROC governs 22 islands within the Taiwan group and 64 islands in the Penghu archipelago to the west. But in total, Taiwan governs 167 islands, and this is one of the first things you should probably know about Taiwan, which is the fact that it isn't just an island nation. It's a nation with so many islands, it could form a subcontinent. On these islands, there exist a lot of mountains and foothills which comprise 2/3 of the island. Popular amongst them is the Yushan or Jade Mountain, which is the highest mountain in Taiwan at 12,966 feet. Other famous mountains include the Ali, Maokong, Hewanshan, and 60 Rock Mountains, among many others. There are a couple of volcanoes in Taiwan, including the Guanyin Mountain and the Tatun volcanic group. Because of Taiwan's volcanic tendencies, it's not odd to find incredible phenomena such as volcanic mud eruption. But while Taiwan's mountains are common knowledge to most people, there are some facts about this island that you might not know. Surprisingly, it's about its people. Chapter 2. The people of Taiwan today. Taiwan is the 22nd most populated country in Asia, with 23.9 million people. However, it's the 6th most densely populated country on the continent. Additionally, Taiwan is rather ethnically monotonous, with about 95% of the population being Han Chinese, while the remaining 5% are either indigenous Taiwanese or immigrants. The Han Chinese are divided into 3 recognizable subgroups in Taiwan. These are the Hoklo, Hakka, and Waishengren groups. But as much as Mandarin is more or less the national language, other dialects are spoken amongst the population, such as Taiwanese Hokkien, Hakka Chinese, and languages of the indigenous Taiwanese. The Chinese influence on Taiwan also stretches to religious beliefs, as the 2 major religions are Buddhism and Taoism. As of 2006, more than 70% of the country's population practice either one of the 2 faiths. Other religions practiced in Taiwan includes Christianity, but sparingly, as only 5% make up the total population as of 2020. Muslims are another minority in Taiwan, but the fact that despite their small numbers they feel safe and welcome is a testament to how inclusive Taiwan is. But a hospitable nation like Taiwan wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the patriotism of the nation's most revered historical figure. Chapter 3. Famous Taiwanese figures. There is no patriotic Taiwanese that doesn't know who Chiang Kai-shek was. Chiang was a military general who was head of the Kuomintang and leader of the ROC. He's most famous for taking the ROC to Taiwan after the CCP took over mainland China. He died on 5th of April 1975, and for a while the Qingming Festival was celebrated on the anniversary of his death until it was shifted to the day before it. Another notable figure is Lee Teng-hui, the first president of Taiwan to be directly elected. He ran as the KMT candidate and won with over half of the votes. But Taiwanese are popular outside Taiwan as well. There would be no YouTube without its co-founder Stephen Chen, and who could forget the thrills that Jeremy Lin brought to the NBA? They were so euphoric they dubbed it Linsanity. Indeed, for a country of less than 30 million people, they produce quite some influential people. Taiwan does have quite a number of influential people, but what's ironic is that the country has been influenced for centuries by other countries. Chapter 4. Visitors and colonists. There are few countries where the original inhabitants of a land no longer make up the majority of the population. We've seen this historical trend with the native Indians of North America and the Aboriginals of Australia, and Taiwan also has this historical pattern. So, if today's majority ethnic Chinese weren't the original occupants of Taiwan, then who were? Thousands of years ago, the island of Taiwan was occupied by indigenous groups of Austronesian heritage. They belonged to the same group of inhabitants dwelling as far west as Sri Lanka and down south in New Zealand. The several groups of indigenes included the Amis, Atayal, Paiwan, Bunnan, and several others to make up the 16 indigenous peoples of Taiwan, which is 2.48% of the entire Taiwanese population today. But back then, it was just these guys alone living in peace until the Europeans landed on their shores. The Dutch came in 1624 and established a colony there. Following this, the European colonial powers of Spain and France duked it out with the Dutch for the control of the island. But by 1662, the notorious pirate Kokshina kicked the Europeans off Taiwan and claimed it for himself, only to lose it to the Chinese imperialists under the Qing Empire. 200 years later, in 1895, the Chinese handed Taiwan over to become a Japanese colony under a peace treaty. The Chinese nationalists overthrew the imperial rulers in 1911, but Taiwan wasn't governed by this new leadership till the 1950s, when Japan surrendered it back to China after their loss in the World War. The Communist Party rose to power and made China a communist state during the late 40s. Defeated and forced to exile, the Republic of China and its loyalists fled to Taiwan, where they still existed as the Republic of China but were known as the Nation of Taiwan. Hence, the series of events between the late 19th century and early 20th century in China have greatly shaped the nation of Taiwan culturally and politically. One way you can tell that the Chinese have been here for centuries is by the holidays that are celebrated in Taiwan. Chapter 5: Celebrations and Notable Holidays. The first real significant celebration in the year for the people of Taiwan is the Chinese New Year. Also known as the Spring Festival, it celebrates the end of the previous year according to the Chinese lunar calendar. But in case anyone might miss the Chinese New Year, the Lantern Festival is just 2 weeks after, and the spectacle is just as appealing. This festival involves lighting the night sky with beautiful lanterns of all shapes and sizes to create a view that's been attracting visitors from across the globe for years. But not all public festivals are upbeat and delightful. Every April the 4th marks the Qingming Festival, and this is a Chinese festival where people visit ancestral tombstones to sweep them and offer prayers. Thankfully, this isn't the last festival of the year, so there are celebrations to lighten the mood just before the year ends. And no festival does that quite like the Dragon Boat Festival. Held on 10th of June, the Dragon Boat Festival, as the name suggests, is one where dragon boat races are held with a buffet of the festival delicacy zongzi. This festival is also known as the Poets Festival because of its connection to the remembrance of the legendary poet Qu Yuan. He drowned in the Milu River, and the locals rowed their boats in search of him. What a tragic origin to such a joyous event. These various national celebrations allow people to express plenty of emotions, but one emotion the people of Taiwan don't have a reason to show is fear, because they have one of the deepest army reserves in the world. Chapter 6: Regional Tension Spanning Generations. Taiwan's army is only 169,000 men strong, but has the third highest reserve in the world with 1.65 million personnel on standby. And this number will only get higher. With tensions between Taiwan and China, the multi-island nation would do itself a favor by bolstering its military. Hence, since 2024, Taiwan has made compulsory military service a year-long thing instead of the previous 4 months. But why does Taiwan appear to be preparing for war? Well, the answer is China. China has shown aggression by deploying naval forces in the Taiwan Strait and testing missiles over the island. And even with the interventions from other countries, they don't seem to be backing down. Remember how back in 2022, following a visit from US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to Taipei, China felt threatened, with the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi describing the show of diplomacy as manic, irresponsible, and irrational. As if in retaliation, the Chinese army decided to conduct a military exercise that involved the firing of 11 ballistic missiles over Taiwan airspace and into the South China Sea. But where did all this tension come from? Well, it's a result of a feud lasting decades following the Chinese Civil War and the Republic of China settling in Taiwan after refusing to be part of the communist state. Many nations don't recognize Taiwan's sovereignty, and the People's Republic of China has sought time after time for reunification. Taiwan is considered a part of the People's Republic of China by the UN and not as its own sovereign state. That's why it doesn't have a seat at the UN Council. However, Taiwan being a democratic state and the support it receives from Western powers make Beijing see it as a threat. But what you would find shocking is that despite Beijing and Taipei not seeing eye to eye on so many things, they have strong economic ties and trade partnerships. Chapter 7: Taiwan as a key player in global trade. What makes them great economic partners is the link in their major industries. China is a leading exporter in electronics, and Taiwan is its major supplier of machine parts and integrated circuits. there are only 10 economies bigger than Taiwan, so as far as global trade goes, Taiwan is doing more than well for itself. In fact, Taiwan's trade volume only seems to grow as the world is in growing demand for what it offers. And there you have it, the entirety of Taiwan in a video. So what new thing did you learn about Taiwan? What fact did you find the most hard to believe? Well, let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more.